Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
All right, and we're also keeping an eye on Booking Holdings today. It reported earnings, and the stock is up pre-market after it posted a strong fourth quarter. It did, however, forecast a weaker start to 2025 due to currency headwinds, certainly something that we've been hearing a lot of this earnings season. Let's break it down now with Glenn Fogel. He is the CEO of Booking Holdings. Great to have you back with us, Glenn. Let's start with the broad picture here, because you mentioned on the earnings call that you're seeing healthy demand for leisure travel in specifics, but I'm wondering if you could break it down in terms of where people are actually traveling, which regions are really showing the most strength right now.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. We talked about last night what a wonderful fourth quarter we had. And we did point out, actually, the strength was across the board globally. And we're an extremely global company. And we were really excited to see that all parts of the world are actually increasing in travel. So there's no area that I'd point out more one than the other. I mean, we did break down a little bit in seeing in the fourth quarter. You know, our slowest growing area was actually still rather fast, which was the U.S., which was a double-digit number, 10% increase. The fastest area was a thing we call the rest of world, which was going 20%. And so what's rest of world? Well, the other two areas besides rest of world and U.S. are Asia, which was a mid-teens growth rate, and Europe, which was a low double-digit growth rate. So all across the board, wonderful numbers, great thing to come in and give our shareholders a nice little earnings discussion.
Here in the U.S., Glenn, a lot of people are worried about the consumer picture and whether inflation or other forces are going to bite more into consumer wallets. What evidence do you have that you can continue to see strength from the consumer going into the travel categories more often into this year with concerns about where inflation is headed?
Yeah. So, you know, we've been dealing with this for a number of years now, where coming out of the pandemic, prices were very high for travel, and people were getting a bit of sticker shock, but they wanted to travel, and those numbers coming out of the pandemic were fantastic. Yes, today people will still say, hey, it seems expensive, but people want travel. They want to go and see the world. So sometimes what they'll do is they'll sacrifice something else instead. I'm not that concerned about people saying, I'm not going to travel because the prices are too high. In fact, our numbers, and we talked about last night, we're very positive about how travel is going right now.
I went with my wife to Singapore last month, and we used ChatGPT quite a bit to help us find and schedule, places to visit. How are your customers going to be using artificial intelligence on your platforms?
Yeah, no, it's one of the most exciting things right now are these new types of technologies like ChatGPT, which is operated by OpenAI. And you may have heard we made an announcement. We're one of the founding partners of OpenAI in their new thing called Operator, which is another way to use a large language model and be able to come up with ways to go and travel. We have our own things in our own site. We have a thing at booking.com that's called our AI Trip Planner. And over at Priceline, we have a thing called Penny, which is also another similar type large language model that helps people discover and then be able to book. It's absolutely crucial that we continue to work on developing these new technologies so that as people want to change over time from the way they used to plan, discover, and book, that we're where the customer wants to be. I'm very positive on how we're doing this, and one of the great things is, a critical thing is data. As the biggest travel player in the world, we have such an amount of resources in terms of knowledge, and that comes from the data. It's the tremendous number of AI experts we have, all the things that we can put together to make sure you as a traveler have the best way to come up with what is the highest value and where you want to go.
Well, Glenn, let's build on that because I didn't go to Singapore, but I went to New Orleans with my husband, and we also—
Pretty awesome.
It was a lot of fun. We also used ChatGPT to find a lot of recommendations, and my question for you is, you are developing these tools, but how do you compete? Because it feels like people are kind of developing the muscle memory of just asking ChatGPT things.
So it's interesting about that, where, yes, some people are exploring ChatGPT and such, and we are working with them, et cetera, but it's still a very small number, and our job is to make sure that people, when they're booking, don't forget, we get paid when people book, and that is for them to be using all of our systems and services, and one of the critical things for a consumer is trust. And sure, you may be using ChatGPT, or maybe you're using Google or Bing or any way to learn and discover, et cetera. End of the day, though, you want to have something that's going to be a one-stop shop that puts together what are truly the best value for you. And God forbid, anything goes wrong, you want somebody to be able to fix it right away. That's really what we're doing, and AI is a great way for us to bring it all together in a much better, seamless, frictionless way that enables you to feel more comfortable and more confident that you're going with something that's going to give you the most value. And look at our numbers right now, they're great.
I'm also curious here about how it's going to impact your bottom line at the end of the day. You have a lot of businesses here where obviously internet is first point of contact, but what does AI mean in terms of your workforce moving forward, your need to employ more people in order to get this information to customers? Do you think it's going to make a difference?
Well, certainly we're looking for efficiencies. And one of the areas, for example, is customer service. And we're seeing benefits already where a customer service agent at the end of the conversation with a customer has to put together a summary. Well, with AI, that summary can be done automatically, giving more time to the customer service person to actually spend time with the customer. But then it goes beyond that. And someday we're going to be able to do, and we're seeing some initial things, where you don't need as a customer to deal with an agent. You can do it all with what is essentially a generative AI agent that's solving the problem right there. That, of course, enables us to spend our money somewhere else, and that may be in getting more AI specialists to help build better products and services. I agree. There are going to be changes in terms of where the jobs are because generative AI is going to be either a supplement or a replacement for certain things that are currently done completely by humans. But over time, I'm not concerned about there not being enough employment. I don't see that ever being an issue.
Glenn, great to get your thoughts on this changing industry at Booking Holdings. Glenn Fogel there, the CEO.